everyone, it's LaRosa, and today on Fat Tire Cowboys, we're going to take a look at the Fat Tire Cowboys flagship Cessna 185. It's actually a 1974 A185F that I've owned for about 5 years now, and we're going to take a look at the top 20 mods that I love on this thing. Well, coming in at number one by a long shot was the panel mod. Had the flat metal panel put in. It got rid of all of that plastic that was breaking and the scattered around instruments. Cessna had kind of standardized that by 1974, but just put in the solid or the standard T formation in there. Also, while they were there, I said rip out all the wiring. I don't want any old wiring in there. So there's very little old wiring behind the panel. It's completely rewired everything back there, including we had all the switches. The lower panel was done, so all the switches and circuit breakers were all replaced, and it's just made for aesthetically looking at it while you're flying it, and then also just using it. It made a huge difference on the airplane. So that's my number one. Coming in at number two is the EDM 830 engine analyzer that I had installed at the same time they did the panel, and I just love the graphics on it. I've had a lot of engine analyzers over the years, but what I really love about the 830 is that it's front and center on the panel. It's got a lot of color to it, and then it has limits set and alarms set for those limits. So anytime any perimeter exceeds a limit, you're going to get a warning. So you don't have to notice that the alternator's off or you've got a cylinder running hot. And it just made me a lot more comfortable about flying the airplane at night because I can really pay attention to what's going on in that engine. Because if you're flying at night and you don't do it a lot, when you do it, you know that, the engine's vibrating strangely and everything else. So for me, that was the deal, was the EDM made me a lot more comfortable at night. So that's my number two. Coming in at number three, guys, are the 29-inch Tundra tires that I have on it. The Alaskan bush wheels are an absolute must. You have to have these things on a Skywaggon if you have them. Tricky if you're landing out in riverbeds and in the places that I go. You just can't operate the airplane without the 29s. They are just the ultimate mod for the airplane. I probably should have it at number one, but the reality really is 850s will take me anywhere I want to go. These things just look really cool on my airplane. You know, look, guys, I get it. You guys out in Alaska, in the Northwest, going hardcore at this all the time. I get it. Y'all really do need them. Out here in the flatlands, not so sure if I absolutely need them, but they look great on the airplane, and they do smooth out a lot of the rough areas that I land. Probably a little easier on the airplane too. So while I don't need them, they just look super cool on the airplane, and I love them. So that's my number three right there. Coming in at number four, guys, is the Horton STOL Kit that's installed on my airplane. It was already on there when I got it, so I don't have anything to compare it against as before and after, and I've never actually flown a wagon without it. But I have flown a lot of 182s without it, and I've flown a lot of 182s with the Horton kit on it. And I do know that it improves the slow speeds and lowers that stall speed just a little bit to help you get in those tighter places. I do like the semi-cuff wing on it, or wing tips on it. I think that looks really cool. But that's number four for us. Coming in at number five will be the micro vortex generators that I had put on the airplane. So while the Horton kit was already on the airplane and it would fly slow, when you really drove it off into that, we call it the slot. When it takes a lot of power and ground effect to really drag it across a line and drop it in. When you approach that, it just got really sloppy. And it just didn't give you any confidence that the airplane wasn't about to drop you and tear it up. So I put the vortex generators on it in hopes of helping that, and it was massive. The airplane just is much more stable as it really comes into that stall zone and gives me the confidence to fly it at a really slow speed without thinking that it's just going to drop a wing and dump me off. Okay, coming in at number six are the cow vents, and this is probably the last mod that I've done on the airplane. It's very recent. And you get so many opinions about these modifications on these airplanes, and my thinking on, they're all old and they're all a little different. And you just don't know how people are applying them or using them, or what their standard is for figuring out what works and what doesn't. But before I put these cow vents on, I really struggled to keep my temps below 400. 16.5 gallons an hour at cruise. That would give me around 370 to 380 degrees, depending on the outside temperature and what altitude I'm running at and things like that. But overall, it just seemed like the airplane ran a little hot. And of course, I checked our baffling's in great shape. It's sealing good. So where do you go from that? Run the cow flaps open all the time. Put these cow vents on it, and it cooled them all down 30 degrees, and I'm able to run 15 gallons an hour instead of the 16.5. So for me, it worked wonders. We actually also put them on tie flies. Same results. It just really cooled those cylinders down and allowed him to burn less fuel. Coming in at number 7 is the XP Modifications tail wheel that's on this thing. Now, it was on the aircraft when I bought it. I saw it on the pre-buy. I was like, man, that's a really big tail wheel on that thing. But I had no idea what it was, how great they are, or how freaking expensive they are. These things are expensive, but they are rugged. It's my understanding that a lot of them went on the Cessna 188 ag wagons, so they'll take a punishment apparently, and I haven't had any trouble with this one. It puts a 500 by 5 tire on that back tail, and I love it. It works really well with the Alaskan bush tires, the 29-inch bush tires that I have. It's a really good setup for the airplane. I don't have any shimmy. I haven't had any problems with it, and it just rolls over everything, so I love it. Coming in at number 8, guys, are the 2 G5s that I had installed last summer. And man, I love these things in the panel. Not only do they look great, but man, they just really move you into that glass world where all the information is displayed exactly in front of the pilot during instrument flight. So I love that part of it. The real reason that I did it, though, was because in anticipation of Garmin STCing the GFC 500 autopilot for the Cessna 185 series. And so I had a decision to make. If I'm going to do that, then I had a mechanical gyro heading indicator, and so I need an HSI. Well, you can buy an HSI, an overhauled mechanical HSI, for $7,000, and it is guaranteed to work till tomorrow. So it's a no-brainer. I mean, so 2 G5, same price, plus install. It was a no-brainer to me. These units are made to play together, and so when the G500 or the GFC 500 comes, it's going to be a great thing. And so we're waiting in anticipation of that. That's why I got them, but I absolutely love the G5s that I put in. The number 9 thing, guys, is kind of boring, and it's another thing that was already on the airplane, but it's really a great mod, and it's a great safety mod on the airplane, and it's the AmSaved seat lock. It's basic. If you haven't seen these, it's basically an inertia reel seat belt system that's placed underneath the seat, bolted to the seat, and then the strap is bolted to the floor. And the inertia reel will not activate unless the lever is pulled up to move the seat. So if the stops come out of the tracks and the seat starts to come back, it's bolted to the strap's bolted to the floor, and it keeps the seat from going back. Just a really great mod that my airplane already had on it. Look them up because it really is a great mod to put on your airplane. It's just a great safety deal. So I love that thing. The number 10 item, it's actually not a mod. It was on the airplane from the factory, was the extended baggage. If you don't know a lot about Cessna SkyWagons, the ones, if you have this extended baggage in it, you kind of look in there and you're like, oh wow, yeah, you can put some stuff in there. It's a lot larger than you think it is. I'm 6'1" and weigh 200 pounds, and I can fit in that thing. So it's really big. So when I have my family on board this thing, we just pack all kinds of crap in that thing and in the luggage compartment and the seats. So it's a really great thing to have on these airplanes, is the extended baggage. Number 11 is going to be another mod that was done to the airplane before I purchased it, and it's the bubble windows. Probably something that I would have never looked at, never thought about putting on the airplane, but I think they're fantastic. It's like every other mod on these airplanes. I was reading a blog just the other day, and the guy absolutely hates them on his airplane. But to me, I mean, they make the airplane feel like it has a lot more shoulder room, and for us bigger guys, that's a great deal. So we got two big guys up front. You just feel like you got a lot more shoulder room. You can put your elbow up there and kind of ride along and fly. This makes it a lot more comfortable. I can look out. You can look down below the airplane. I love them. So that's going to be, what is it, number 11. Number 12 are the Rosen Sun Visors, and it took me a little while of suffering through the really crappy sun visor that Cessna put in these things. Just almost worthless before I put these in, and I've had them in several airplanes, and they are expensive, but man, they are worth the money. So that's going to be number 12. Number 13 is going to be the LED lights on the airplane. The airplane had LED lights installed in the cowling for the taxi and landing. And I started using them. I was like, well, these are really cool. And then the beacon went out on the tail. And it's kind of like the G5 versus buying a mechanical unit, whole thing all over again. You start looking at them, you're like, I might as well buy a really good LED system and put it on. And so I put the LED beacon on it, which turned into, these are really cool. How about I just wrap the airplane in LED? So I went full LED on nav lights and strobes, and have even replaced the interior lights with LED. It's a great thing though, guys, when you turn all that stuff on and the meter on, just they don't carry any load. So that's a great thing to me. So I love them. I think they look great. I think they increase the visibility of the airplane at night and during the day, and I just love them. Number 14 is a funny story because it's the door stewards, and my airplane did not have door stewards on it when I bought it. Ty Lanes had them. He shows up with his here, and I open it up, and to me they're just, those things are really mounted in a place to me that they're just going to get damaged, and they're going to be nothing but problematic. So I saw those. I was like, I hate those things, and I just hate them. Don't like where they're located. I don't like anything about them. But out here in West Texas where it's windy, so I was constantly fighting, either keeping my door from swinging out and being bent by the wind, or it's blowing against me and I've got something in my hand and I'm trying to get in the airplane. So you're just fighting the door all the time. And then I ended up using Ty's airplane for about 2 weeks while this one was down for an annual. And I fell in love with those door stewards. So got the airplane back from the annual, rolled it in here, and immediately ordered a set of those door stewards and put them on. I love those things. So get you a set. Number 15 is highly controversial. I can hear the trollers now. 500 has flap gap seals on it. I know. Hold on a minute. Let me explain. I got some explaining to do. All right. Listen, guys. All of these airplanes, especially for you guys that are new to this and starting out, every airplane is mission oriented. What are you going to do with the airplane? That's all that matters. It doesn't matter what everybody on the internet says. It matters what you're going to do with the airplane. And for me, I'm going to the ranch, I'm hauling supplies, landing on unimproved areas, landing on a turn row if I need to land there, or I can land on a grass strip, in a riverbed, wherever I want to go. But the fact of the matter is, I don't do the hardcore stuff for a living, and I am not going to jeopardize my safety or the airplane to put it in somewhere really tight. And the fact of the matter is, with or without the gap seals on it, that airplane will go more places than I can take it, that I've got the skill set to get it in and out, and why should I push my luck on that anyway? So for me, I ordered the flap gap seals at the same time that I ordered the tires, because I knew the tires would give me about a 6 to 7 knot penalty, and I got about 4 to 5 knots back with the gap seals. So I had about a 2 knot penalty for putting the tires on. It's a great trade-off for me, because this thing hauls my family to Dallas, and it also goes to the ranch every week for hauling supplies in and out of there. So for me, it's all mission-oriented, guys. So for me, it's a great balance. For the next guy, buys it, takes it to Alaska, they're probably going to want to take them off. But that's where it is for me. I like them. Now, for number 16, these airplanes, you have to accept a lot of things on them that you wouldn't normally be willing to accept on any other airplane when you buy them. If you want one, they've been worked to death. They just kind of are what they are. So sometimes there's things on the airplane without a logbook entry. And I think one of those things on mine are the back seats. That you look at them, they're clearly homemade, and but they're a great design. But actually, I'm finding out, and some of you can probably help me with this, that those seats were actually produced by Cessna, and they were actually an option. And you see that they're a small jump seat. What's really cool about them is if you need to load something big that won't go through the baggage door, you just pop that seat back off. It just comes right off. You just slide where you want in there and put the seat back on. So we use it to load the airplane all the time. Additionally, 2 bolts and those things come right out. So you can get some. Then you can load an entire cooler through the front door and put the seat back in a matter of just a couple minutes. So I love these things. I'm not sure if they're a mod or if they were just an option that Cessna offered. But I love them to death. Coming in at number 17 is the one-piece windshield that's on my airplane. And this is one of those mods. It was already on the airplane when I bought it again. And it's another one of those mods that, actually, whenever I look at the 2-piece windshield on the Skywagons, I absolutely love the way that it looks. It's a very classic look. I just think it looks really cool on the airplane. So Ty has the 2-piece, and Kerry has the 2-piece on his airplanes. I just love the way that they look. Not that I dislike the way that mine looks with it. I just like the 2-piece look better. So I've kind of pined about, I really wished I had the 2-piece windshield. And then I fly Kerry's or Ty's, and with the V-bar brace in there, which I have also, you end up kind of, where in the heck do I look through here? Because now you've got the brace running through. So I do love the 1-piece windshield in the airplane. I think the 2-piece looks better, but as far as visibility, the 1-piece is a lot better if you have the V-brace. Coming in at number 18 is actually something, probably one of the very first things I did to the airplane was put in the BAS shoulder harness system in the airplane. For safety, when you look at these statistics, a lot of this stuff is survivable, but people are hitting the instrument panel with their head. It's all about the safety. So that's one of the very first things that I put in the airplane, and I absolutely love them. So that's going to be number 18. And number 19 is going to be the BAS tail pulls, tail handles, whatever you want to call them, the stowable handles that BAS makes for these airplanes. The really crappy thing for me is they're not actually installed on the airplane. They're over there on the bench ready to be installed on the airplane. It's another one of those things where, Kerry and Ty both have them on their airplanes, and they're simply wonderful. Right now I'm carrying around a tow bar in the back, and I wouldn't have to have that back there in the luggage to move the airplane around if I had the tail handles. I've been out using the airplanes, and you just pop those things out, turn the airplane around, and put them back. And it's a lot easier on the airplane because you don't have people pushing on the side of the airplane like you normally do. That can cause a lot of problems with these airplanes. So BAS, I got to get them installed, but I love those things. And coming in, number 20 is going to be the 406 ELT interface, the GPS ELT that I put in a couple years ago. Man, this is another one of those safety things that and upgrade things. The A&P pulls my ELT out to check the battery on the annual, and the ELT, I don't know how it even worked. It just looked terrible. It had clearly had spent its life in the airplane, and it was done. So, so you look at, okay, we'll replace it. Well, for a little more, somebody can find me within 30 feet in 15 minutes. I'm more about that. So hook this thing to my GPS and let's do that. So that's going to be number 20 for me. And since we're only doing 20, but we actually have 21, I'm going to do an honorable mention, and that is the USB ports that we swapped out for the cigarette lighter. Don't do what I did and go get the little cheap one and stick it in there, because it didn't work. Kind of worked, but didn't really work. Actually had the correct one swapped, took out the cigarette lighter and put the correct unit in for the airplane with the appropriate voltages and amperages in the airplane. It'll now run my iPhone and run my Stratus for the ForeFlight, and they're great things. So if you got a chance to put them in, put them in. That's an honorable mention. And of course, having 21 mods on the airplane isn't enough, so I've got a want list, but particularly one that we're resolving right now, working our way through, is the cargo net. For safety, the harnesses are great for you, but if the the travel tool pack that I have back there comes flying forward and hits you in the head. It doesn't matter if you have the straps on or not. So it's really important that we have these put in, and we're working at getting that done. Should have done it a long time ago, but and that ought to be the #1 thing on the list. But that we're working through that right now. So the cargo net is going to be a great thing. Going to love it. Well, guys, that's going to wrap up the 20 mods on my wagon. Listen, this isn't possible without you guys. Please follow and click and like and comment and dislike, I guess, if you want to. We love you guys. We love it when y'all stop us at the air shows. We love it when y'all stop us at the airport. You see these airplanes of ours around with the big logos on them, or you recognize us, stop us, because we usually have a cap we'll give you. So thanks for watching. Viva LaRosa!